So getting back to it, we've got our cured shrimp. Throw it in there, drift it through. We can drift through eggs. Very basic. Once again, a wide array of colors. When we want to do it's when the water's coming up or the fish are coming into the system. When the water's warmer. When the water's warmer, what happens to the oxygen levels? When Ken was over at the show, he said the steelhead were parked underneath the downspouts. Probably that water was warm, being in the show. Oxygen. When they come into the system and start to move, they're going to be in those oxygenated riffles, making their way up through. Because there's oxygen there. They're swimming. Now they're holed up. Now their big concern is not so much oxygen because the river's flowing, it's cool. It's now they don't feel safe going because it's so clear and it's so low. So they're waiting for it to lift up and move. So in the fall time's the same principle. You're fishing the riffs and you're side drifting them, but the principle is oxygen versus the need to move like it is in spring. The urge to move in spring when the water flows start coming up. All that's on their mind is getting to their beds as soon as that water comes up. They'll charge, and if it drops and cools, they'll sit right there again until it doesn't. They just move up in shelves. Keep moving. Now, with these rigs, the weights to get them down there, the ways to get them down there, there's a ton. Here's a slinky weight. You can buy them, you can make them. They're very simple to make. What you do is basically jump cord, like military jump cord, parachute cord, whatever you want to call it. You get pellets, BBs, lead. You got a tube, load the tube up. You got a push rod. You slide this over, push the push rod down, then you burn the ends. That's how you make these. You've got these guys right here, solid lead, pencil lead. Quarter, 3/16, different sizes. Got a pair of pliers, it's called Lead Master pliers. Got a hole in the back end of them behind the handle. You come up and squeeze it, punch a hole. What you do when you make these is you make several different sizes. You got a box loaded with them, so you're not messing around with it on the river. You've got bouncing Betty weights. What a bouncing Betty weight is, it's a round cannonball, rubber. You can take hollow core lead, which is what we used to do when I first started side drifting when I was a kid on the Snake, and you use a three-way swivel or this type of rig right here. It's very simple. This is just a barrel swivel right here. Now if you look at this, that's supposed to come up and lock to the side. See that? So it locks your bait in. What I do is just take my pliers and turn it up. Because what happens when this swivel's tied up, the way we do it, and guys, there's variations of this. You can use a slider swivel. It's once again, it's a bunch of different ways. What we got is we got our swivel, barrel, swivel, and we got our lock mechanism right here. What we do is we tie our main line here. We tie our corky and hook back here with our yarn. And then what happens, we take this right here, and we just simply click it in through that jump cord, like that. We close the swivel down. Now we drift. If we get hung up, we pull hard enough because that now is open, straight up. It drops this off, opens the swivel up, and you bring the swivel back, you hook in another piece of lead.
The little turn at the ends.
Little turn at the ends, just been straightened up. That's it. You don't want no fancy high-end deal because you want this to pop. The slinky rig will go through just about anything. Man, it runs, you can run one of these all day long. It's my favorite weight to run. Now you can take the hollow lead, or excuse me, the solid lead with the Lead Master plier and punch the hole in it. Come in, same thing. Now we're drifting, we get hung up, we pop it. A lot of guys like this rig right here because you can feel the substrate better. You can feel the gravity, or the gravel better when you're going through. Tink, 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 tink. Being a little softer, not quite as noticeable as it's rocking down through there, but less snag. If you're using the braided lines, you're going to feel plenty good with this. Plenty good with this. Make them with different size shots, and you'll fish them all day long, and they won't come off. They just don't get hung up. The Bouncing Betty weight, being round, I mean, I'm exaggerating obviously, but it's a round ball. The same rule applies with jig heads if you're fishing on the bottom, football head, for bass, whatever, same rule. If you're fishing in really open, big rock, what's going to happen? This is going to come through, and every time it's going to get forced into a crack, it's going to get stuck. What a bouncing Betty does, being more round, allows you to go through and over those big cracks. It doesn't get stuck as easy. So that round ball is going to flow better through some bottoms. Once again, you have to know what you're fishing. If you're getting snagged a lot, first thing you do is go to a smaller one, because you got too much weight in there. It's driving it down to the bottom. It's forcing it into the rocks. You just want it to be tapping, tap, tap, tap. If you still can't do it and you're getting hung up, that's when the round ball comes in. Obviously, the rocks are so big that it's just sliding in and getting stuck. So that round ball is going to work through it, just like a football head jig when you're dragging it. Less apt to get stuck. Now, the other option for getting it down is you can take a plug, just like we showed you that diver plug, for back trolling. So I'm stepping to back trolling just because we're on this rig right here. If you're set up back trolling, you can use the same thing. You can tie up a whole bunch of these, put them on your tackle tamers. You can use them for side drifting. What we usually do here, where I've got this tied off, is I have a clip on this. And now all I can do is, instead of having it tied, I can just clip in, clip, throw it, clip, throw it, until I find the one that I want. I can also take these if I'm back trolling from a boat or using my $14.95 jet boat. I can back troll it out there. What I would do, just imagine this hook is gone. This hook is gone. I take that clip, I clip it in. Now this thing goes down, no hooks on it. It goes down, it hits the bottom, it's working around the bottom. This corky's back here swinging like this. The times you back troll are the same times when you side drift, because the fish are on the move. If you're sitting in one spot back trolling and they're not moving, guess what? You're going to be sitting there for a long time. Now what happens, everybody cool with side drifting? That was pretty brief, but is everybody good with it?
How long a leader do you like after that?
Leader length is, once again, it's an option to you. If the water is dirty, the leader length can be shorter, right? Because they can't see as well. If you got clear water, it needs to be longer. It's just like a walleye spinner rig. I want to get as far away from that wire walker if it's clear. If it's muddy, I can suck it in tighter.
Fluorocarbon on that too?
All fluorocarbon leaders. Same with the dropper off of the bobber setup, the side drifting setup. All my leaders are tied with fluorocarbon, just because it's invisible. The other thing that can happen with the leader link too, a longer one can lift you up higher or force you down lower if it's shorter. So that's something you got to keep in mind too. They can control this angle. You know.
Like 6 feet? Or?
No, usually with these guys, you can run, I've seen guys run 18 inches up to 36 inches. That's the typical that we run, right in that neighborhood. I mean, you can't, I've seen guys run 6 foot. Do you have to?
You use a wiggle work or a back troll?
To put the plug on, to drive the corky down if I'm going to back troll. Yep.
And you hook it to where, right where the hook is?
Yeah, what you would do,
Off the back, like the back rear hook?
no. What you do here, I've got, I had one rigged here. What you do, you strip all the hooks like this. Then what you do, you have to tie in or clip in your corky setup right here. If you tie it back here, it pulls the plug down, the bill can't dive. That hook is your center axis. So you strip it down, clip it in, drop it. With no hooks, this can get down there in the rocks, working back and forth. This guy's up behind, swinging around in the current.
So that plug, instead of a number 10 diver?
Yep. Right here.
How deep will that go?
This one here depends on the size of this back here. If this is real big, heavy, big corky, it's going to cause it to lift a little bit. But this, you can pull these down 15, 18 feet. You can get down there in rocks and work till it hits the bottom. Till it hits the bottom.
Then you don't use divers?
I don't use divers unless, the only time I use the divers is when I'm salmon fishing. Here's why. When you guys go out, and you like to kokanee fish, right? What do you put in front of your stuff?
When we fish, nothing.
You don't use the big old jackaloids or anything?
No.
Okay, good. I'm glad. That's good, because I hate those things. Okay, guys, here's what happens. Okay? Color, correct? This is one more thing that acts as an attractor. How many different colors are these? There's a pile.
5,000.
Okay? If the water's real muddy, and I need to fish to see it and hear it, this would be a fire tiger, which is a chartreuse, an orange, with a chartreuse back here. When those fish are coming up through, they're going to see it. When you back troll, now you guys all understand about they have to be moving, right? Okay, here's my boat. That's an awesome boat. I can't draw boats. I make a living out of one, but God, I can't draw them. All right? Our river's moving like this, correct? If it's in the dead of the winter, and we're back trolling, and you could go, just so you know, you can take a drift boat or whatever into the North Fork of the Clearwater, and you can catch them back trolling all day long. Right now. Why is that?
You're just laying there on the bottom.
No, what it is, it's a dam. Water's flowing out of the dam from the bottom. Temperature's warmer because the water does what? Sinks? Warmer on the bottom? More active, moving. Okay? Main river. If those fish are held up, it's not uncommon that you could come up here and try to drop a plug down and dance it in their face and maybe get a fish if you're up above and your plug's coming down here where they're sitting. But what's going to happen a lot of times is that's too much action going on. That plug's down there doing its thing, moving around a bunch. They just want a nice drift. If you set up and you back troll and you got your plug down here, you got your corky and your shrimp and yarn back here, you want those fish moving through. Because what's going to happen, they're coming up and they're going to run into it. You want them to run into your bait. Run into it. They got to be moving. Side drifting. They're going to run into it because they're coming through. Coming through.